Hello, hello. This is Venus Callida here, wanting to celebrate Easter. And I know Passover happened last weekend and all of the fun celebrations that are happening our way. And I wanted to do it in a really fun way. Now, behind me here, you see something created by me with just, creative AI. And I'll put all of the information, all the credits, and attributions for that, and our background music, courtesy Upbeat. Lo-fi beats, free music for streamers, and I want to thank everyone for making this possible. Now, I just thought I would give you a little mind break, some happy-go-lucky scenery. I know it's not all of your style. It wouldn't usually be mine. This is the time of the year that I've had so many gray skies, cold, wet rain, freezing rain, sleet, hail, and snow. A month longer than it used to be. And we just need to celebrate, so I need those pretty colors to help set that mood. And I thought I would start off by acknowledging not just Easter, but a whole lot of holidays with some fun facts about where they came from, or aspects of things we use to celebrate them, and where those images came from. So let's begin, and I hope that you can hear me clearly over top of the background music, but I thought that would help set the pace and all. So I wanted to start by talking to you about a little fun fact about Easter. You may have wondered about it in passing once or twice in your life, or maybe not at all. Maybe you know someone who's wondered. But how did the rabbit and the eggs become part of the symbols of Easter when originally it's basically the highest holy holiday for the Catholic people out there? A lot of Christians have their own versions of what they focus on and what they celebrate. And then there's those of us, the C&E Christians. Christmas and Easter show-ups disappear the rest of the year, usually for hockey season maybe. And, why? Why the bunnies? Why the eggs? And this was supposed to be about Jesus saving our souls. Putting a good word in for us with his dad. Well, the word Easter comes from the ancient Norse word Ostara. And I do think my Wiccan friend actually celebrates something directly called Ostara. I think I've seen this word before. And I didn't know it came from the Norse, so the Vikings. And it's what the Vikings called the Festival of Spring. The legend of a rabbit bringing Easter eggs is from German folklore, which tells us of a poor woman who during a famine dyed some eggs, then hid them in a chicken's nest as an Easter surprise for her children. Just as the children discovered the nest, a big rabbit leaped away, and the story spread that it had brought the eggs. That's kind of sweet. It's interesting how many stories come from people making do in desperate times, wanting to feed their children, which is very sad. So this is a hopefulness. And I think spring celebrations are great for the hopefulness that life will come again, that if we could survive the famine in the winter when nothing was growing, we just have to push through a little more and we're going to be okay. So I really like knowing that about that Easter holiday. Bunnies and eggs. Thank you, Vikings. Thank you, Germans. Thank you, everybody who bought in, because it's fun to do with the little guys. All right. What else can I tell you? Which culture began celebrating the New Year with a feast of food and alcohol? The earliest recorded New Year's festival was in ancient Babylon in what is now Iraq. See, another fun fact. I wouldn't have known that. Wouldn't have thought about that. But let's see what else we can find out about this. Okay. Before the introduction of a calendar year, the celebration took place in spring during the planting season. The Babylonian feast was elaborate, lasting 11 days, and included copious drinking and eating in a tribute to the gods of fertility and agriculture. Celebrating the new year was both a thanksgiving and a plea for a successful new harvest. Yay! What is the origin of New Year's resolutions? In medieval times, during the last feast of the Christmas week, knights of the realm were required to place their hands on a peacock and vow to continue living up to their pledge of chivalry. Interesting, the peacock's such a pretty animal. All right. This was known as the knight's peacock vow. The New Year's custom of resolving to live a better life originated with the Babylonians, who promised the gods that they would return all borrowed farm and cooking tools and pay off personal debts. That's kind of nice. I've always heard of the neighbor borrowing a cup of sugar. Well, eventually, I guess you'd want your cup back. So, good to know. It'll come back. If you believe your gods are watching. All right. So, you know what? A peacock, very colorful, naturally colorful. So, Easter eggs, colorful. Color, quite happy. Happy if you see it. Okay, so now we've got another one that's come up more recently for us, and some of us are talking about the groundhog and Groundhog Day. For how accurate is the Groundhog Day forecast? In German folklore, it's sunny when he emerges from hibernation. A groundhog will be frightened by his own shadow and return to his lair. Therefore, crops shouldn't be planted because there will be another 6 weeks of winter. We certainly got that this year. In fact, the groundhog comes out hungry and ready to mate. But if he's still dozy and his senses are dulled, he goes back to sleep. As a forecaster, the groundhog is accurate only 28% of the time. Ouch! About the same as the real weatherman from the human species. No, but they've done studies of this. It's so funny. Okay. So here we go. What else can I tell you? Valentine's Day. How did Valentine become the patron saint of lovers? In 270 AD, the mad Roman Emperor Claudius II outlawed marriage. This was a time when they thought like doomsday was coming any day now, so why bother with these things? Well, I guess people want to bother. All right, I've mixed orange juice and ginger ale today, and I'm loving it. I just have to hydrate. Hang on 1 second. All right, back to Claudius and not allowing people to get married. What a guy. What a cranky guy. Okay. Because he believed that married men made for bad soldiers, ignoring the emperor, Bishop Valentine continued to marry young lovers in secret until his disobedience was discovered and he was sentenced to death. As legend has it, he fell in love with the jailer's blind daughter, and through a miracle, he restored her sight. On his way to execution, he left her a farewell note ending in, "From your Valentine." Oh, that hurts me somehow. Oh, now we send Valentines out to people. Oh, I'm sad. Man. Okay. Now, one that's just passed us by, but we love it so much, spring break. Why did March 17th become St. Patrick's Day? When the time came to honor the patron saint of Ireland's birthday, church officials gathered solemnly to choose a day, then realized that most of St. Patrick's life was a mystery. They finally narrowed his birthday down to either March the 8th or 9th, but because they couldn't agree which was correct, they decided to add the two together and declared March 17th to be St. Patrick's Day. So they wanted to celebrate on his birthday, but they didn't know when it was. So basically they covered their butts and made sure that at some point after that point, this became the Ides of March for Romans. So I don't know. It kind of seems funny to me, but okay. At least we're acknowledging him in the middle of the month. That's all right. That's all right. Really? So silly. Okay. What are the origins of April's Fool's Day? And I did play a massive prank. I got a whole group of people together to play a massive prank on a couple of other people. And it was so funny. But I digress. I'll tell you about that later if you ask me about it in the comments. Okay. Origins of April Fool's Day. Up until 1564, the French celebrated New Year's between March the 25th and April the 1st. But with the introduction of the new Gregorian calendar, the festival was moved to January the 1st. Those who resisted because the victims of pranks included invitations to non-existent New Year's parties. On April the 1st. Non-existent New Year's parties on April the 1st. So basically the French basically honored the New Year as with the start of spring. And then they were pushed back into midwinter there. Okay. So, to prank people, you tell them to show up somewhere for a New Year's party. You can get them into serious danger, man. I don't know. But that's funny. It's funny when it doesn't happen to you. Anyways, I'll own that. It's funny when it doesn't happen to you. Okay. God, I'm glad no one ever did that to me, man. Okay. Soon, the April 1 celebration of a non-occasion became an annual festival of hoaxes. I've been a part of hoaxes. A festival of hoaxes. I like calling it that. Let's have a festival of hoaxes. How can I prank you guys next year? We're going to have to talk about that. I have to think about it. Okay. Totally the energy that's coming off of our lives, of most recent dates of our calendar. We're near the end of April. Okay, we're in the middle of April. I can't believe it. This year's whizzed right by for me. I don't know about you. All right. How do we start celebrating Mother's Day? That's coming up next. In 1907, Miss Anna Jarvis of West Virginia asked guests to wear a white carnation to the church service on the anniversary of her mother's death. But Mother's Day became increasingly commercial, and Miss Jarvis spent the rest of her life trying to restore its simplicity. The strain of her efforts to stop Mother's Day and what it had become led her to an insane asylum where she died alone in 1948. That just sucks. That's terrible. So she didn't want it to be a commercialized thing. She just wanted to honor her mother's death day. I had to take pause on that for a minute. That's really sad. Although I do think there are many people out there that feel everything you do after someone's passed doesn't matter anymore because they won't know it. They don't. How about it's more for the survivors who miss them, like to grieve. But I'm glad we do celebrate while people are here if we've got the nerve to do it, like make peace and if you can, and if it's not toxic, and celebrate while they're here. Yeah. So that's come up. Okay. You don't want to be gloomy. What's the next? How did Father's Day get started? All right. During a Spokane, Washington Mother's Day service in 1910, a Mrs. Sonora Dodd thought of how she and her 5 brothers had been raised on a small farm by her single father. She proposed a Father's Day celebration, but although it caught on locally, it was a political hot potato and didn't receive permanent recognition until an edict by President Richard Nixon in 1972. So from when? From 1910 to 1972. Wow, a lifetime. Father's Day is now the 5th largest card-sending occasion in North America. I think they're tired of socks and ties, everybody. Let's take them out to their favorite sporting event. Gold seats, anybody? Or at least front row, edge? Wow. I'm glad the last time I went to a baseball game with my dad, I bought him a lemonade and a hot dog. I said, it's hot. Get over being cheap. Eat this. He didn't grumble too much. But all my life, he took me to games, gave me a hot dog and lemonade or water and everything. Everything. So I'm glad I got to do that with my dad. We don't do it anymore just because of the fans and everything is so loud now. And everything is so expensive, man. But, sometimes we'll still do something. Mostly in the backyard with his dogs. But, but it's there. Okay, I'm glad I had that part to my life. All right. Why do children demand trick or treat during Halloween? All right. When the Irish introduced Halloween to America, children celebrated with a night of mild vandalism. Their bags of tricks included. Oh, I'm gonna like this. Okay, so bags of tricks included. Now I know about egging houses that are cheap. I don't know. I thought this was related to the Mummers festivals of Once Upon a Time, which is scary stuff. But I digress. Let's see what this source tells us. All right, so this bag of tricks usually had things breaking or soaping windows or overturning outdoor toilets. Oh, the outhouses. This is the days of the outhouses. Okay, so soon they realized that adults would offer candy or other treats to stop these tricks from happening. So it's like bribery. Feed me or I soap you. I once had a nice group of kids, my neighbors, that knew I had broken up with a boyfriend who wasn't very nice. So they went, and he was like from the East Coast, and they basically egged all of his lobster traps from his front lawn. They told me about it, so I gave them extra big jumbo chocolate bars. And yeah, I didn't ask them to do it. They just did it because they felt loyal to me, and I appreciated it. So jumbo chocolate bars it was, and I did a couple of drive-bys just to have a good giggle before he had to clean them all. Yeah. Oh my goodness. All right. Never been egged. I've never been toilet papered. I have seen neighbors get the treatment. But yeah. So this mild blackmail demand became known as trick or treat. Which one do you want? All right. Okay, that to me that's funny because it hasn't happened to me, but yeah. No, I never did that to anybody though. Never. But someone did do it. There were a group of kids who did it in honor of me one time only. Thanks, guys. And now we need to know, why do we carve jack-o'-lanterns for Halloween? In Irish folklore, a supreme con man named Jack Jacko once tricked the devil himself. Upon his death, his sins barred him from heaven, and because he had once fooled the devil, he couldn't enter hell. After a lot of begging, he finally persuaded Satan to give him one burning ember, placed it on a hollowed-out turnip, and it served as a lantern to light his way through the afterlife. Later, in North America, the plentiful pumpkin replaced turnips for use as jack-o'-lanterns. I once made a jack-o'-apple by carving out a pineapple, but I needed to use like those barbecue skewers to hold it up because it's pretty flimsy, but it looked like a punk rocker when it lit up because of the way the top has those little like spiked leaves. It looked really cool. My jack-o'-apple. Hilarious. Okay. Where did the customs of Halloween come from? I know we all have our ideas. The ancient Celts celebrated October 31st as New Year's Eve. Everyone starts their year somewhere different. Okay, they called it All Hallows Eve. They believed that on the night, all those who had died in the previous 12 months gathered to choose the body of a living person or animal to inhabit for the next year before they could pass into the afterlife. The original Halloween festival included human sacrifices and scary costumes, all designed to protect the living from the dead. Now, I know, with some of my family coming from Italy, you would wear, like at the festival, like the carnival festival over there in Italy, where everyone's dressed up like ghosts in the big like porcelain face masks and elaborate costumes, and you wear your relatives' things. So I had my grandmother's veil and my other grandmother's lacy gloves, and you wear these things so that if you're recognized by the souls that are walking the earth on that night, on like Halloween night, that they would recognize you and stay around you to protect you from the demon souls. And so I'd wear these things as my protection as part of my costumes going out to masquerade balls, and wearing, like my aunt's brooch or my uncle's something, my grandfather's something, and keep it on me, a watch or something that they would recognize to keep me protected until All Souls Day, November 1st, where you go to church and pray for their souls, and everyone goes back. They all go back to the realms where they be. All right. Interesting. Okay, and jumping from that to Christmas, What was the original meaning of Merry in Merry Christmas? I thought it meant happy. Let's find out. Okay. Today, Merry, as in Merry Christmas, suggested gaiety, a mood for celebration, but its original meaning was quite different. For example, the carol we sing as God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen should read God Rest Ye Merry, Gentlemen. What? The word was at least 400 years. Wait. 400 years old when it was first written down in 1827, and at that time, Merry didn't mean joyous, but rather peaceful or pleasant. It's like the original word for nice didn't mean anything good at all. It meant something mean, like someone was a cold, hard biatch. But nice, now we use it to mean something good. But it didn't mean anything good at all. To say someone was a nice person, they're like Icy Cruella or something. But Merry. So Merry Gentlemen or Merry Christmas. It wasn't happy, festivity, joyful, beepity boppity, jumping up and down, cheering for joy. It's like they're peaceful. They're not up to no good. They're peaceable. Okay, that's all right. Okay, now just looking at the time and looking at what I have left to tell you about. I just wanted this to be a little mind break of fun. I just have a couple more fun facts, so we'll go just a little more, and then I'm going to call it a day. I just wanted to share this, so I'm going to. Oh, I didn't even lock that in. Sorry, you saw that. So I'm going to come up just a little bit closer myself. Do. Let me get closer to you. La 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 la. Alright. This looks alright. Maybe I'll go a little farther. And so I'm coming up nice and close to tell you about the last of everything I need to say. So about holidays and where aspects of them came from. Alright. So, was Rudolph the only name of the red-nosed reindeer? Now, I'm thinking about Rolo and the marketing for, like, candies in the Christmas season. But let's find out. In 1939, when Robert May, a copywriter for Montgomery Ward, wrote a promotional Christmas poem for the Chicago department store, its principal character was Rolo, the red-nosed reindeer. But the corporate executive didn't like that name, nor did they approve of May's second suggestion, which was Reginald the reindeer. It was May's 4-year-old daughter who actually came up with Rudolph and the title for A Christmas Classic. A little girl. Way to go, little daughter. Way to go. I hope she got some royalties for that. That's cute. All right. How much would all the gifts cost in the 12 days of Christmas? Now, this might be outdated, so it probably costs more today than it did back then, but let's find out. Because the golden rings are pheasants and not jewelry. 5 golden rings are pheasants and not jewelry? That's news to me. I didn't know that. So it's like birds and fruits and stuff, things in trees that were all the gifts. So, okay, my mind was blown just for a second there. So, the 5 golden rings are pheasants on your hands, not gold. All right, so now that we know this, that it's not jewelry, which I had no clue ever in my life. They don't teach you that in school. Oh my goodness. Okay, so because the golden rings are pheasants and not jewelry, the most expensive item in the 12 days of Christmas is actually the 7 swans swimming. In US dollars, that's about $7,000, and followed by the 10 lords a leaping. So I guess you have to hire acrobats for that. And 9 ladies dancing, again, hiring the entertainment. The current price of a partridge in a pear tree is about $34, which is the hourly rate for 8 maids milking. So when everything is added up, the tab is over $16,000 US. However, with inflation, I'm thinking it's like over $17,000 now to pay for the 12 days of Christmas. Had anybody got the money for a mortgage to trade? No. All right. Wow, that's big. What were the bizarre ingredients of history's most exotic Christmas pies? An early English saying was, "The devil himself dared not appear in Cornwall during Christmas for fear of being baked into a pie." Never heard this, but again, we're not in the UK, are we? UK friends, please let us know what you know of this. All right. Records show that living creatures from blackbirds to pheasants, from foxes to rabbits, and in one case even a dwarf, oh my god, I'm going to throw up, that's so cruel, were cooked into Christmas pies at temperatures not hot enough to kill them. Then, as a festival highlight, the crust was broken and the enclosed creatures would fly, hop, or run among the guests to get away, saving their lives. I feel sick. Okay, so here's the thing. Like, I've seen this in cartoons and thought it was an exaggeration. But now that I know this cruelty really existed, and they did a human dwarf, oh my god. So I was watching the Game of Thrones at Joffrey's wedding. Was that the purple wedding? And when they cut into the pie, birds came out. But then he still went on to eat it. So does that mean bird poop and blood and stuff was in there when you're eating it? Like, did anyone actually eat? But, oh my goodness. Like, the release of butterflies and doves and stuff and hoping they all can fly away from a box when they haven't been physically injured to open the boxes. But to bake it when they're alive, half dead or something, and then have them flee when you cut into them, like, I'm really sad again. This was supposed to be happy. This is so gross. This is morbid. This is horrific. Humans do horrific things. Be nice out there, people. If you know nice people that are not toxic, spend your time with them this Easter weekend, this long weekend. I'm doing happy, peaceful things. Merry gentlemen indeed. Merry gentlemen, yes. Yes, please. Okay. How much weight does the average person gain over Christmas? In the Middle Ages, Christmas banquets started at 3 in the afternoon, which appetizers and fortified mulled wine followed by 10 main courses. Hobbits much? And lasted until midnight. Today, over the holidays, North Americans consume about 24 million turkeys and 112 million cans of cranberries. We drink about 108 million quarts of eggnog and 89 million gallons of liquor. I was wondering about the beer. And the average weight gained over the Christmas holidays is 4 to 6 pounds. Followed quite nicely by New Year's resolution to lose that weight. What's going on? Gorging. Oh, okay. And finally, the last little fun fact you didn't know to ask about, but now you're going to know. Boxing Day. What's the origin of Boxing Day? Beginning in the Middle Ages, Boxing Day was known as St. Stephen's Day, in honor of the first Christian martyr. Although unknown in the United States, Boxing Day is still observed in Britain, Canada, New Zealand, and Australia. It's called Boxing Day because on the day after Christmas, the well-off boxed up gifts to give to their servants and tradespeople, while the churches open their charity boxes to the poor. So that's regifting day. Return it for the cash day. For those people that are thankless. Hello. A lot of people do it. I don't do it. However, I will say I discovered that if you have Aeroplan points, you can trade that in for preloaded Visa cards and other gift cards. I'm not sure about Starbucks. I don't look that up. I would take a Starbucks card. So if I can't use them to pay off the actual Visa, I will at least not use the Visa, paying it down while I don't have to touch my bank money and use these cards to get some food and beverages. I really need to do some grocery shopping. That would be great. And maybe, just maybe, a new pair of jeans that don't sag on the butt and on the thighs, because I've lost a lot of weight and I'd like to keep it going. I'm looking a bit saggy bottoms in my, although no, not really. My butt still gets compliments, even from younger guys, so my butt's still doing good. For how much I sit in front of the computer, I would just say I'm glad that I can share that and be honest about that. My butt's still looking good. But bring me to the last point. I hope that those of you who do celebrate Easter and other holidays, I hope you had some fun learning about some fun facts about where some of the words and customs came from and how old some of them really are, and we're still hanging on to it. It's always fun to know. And I hope I'm leaving you on a positive note. Have a happy Easter weekend. And for those of you that are civic servants and don't celebrate Easter, happy long weekend to you. It's nice to have one. There haven't been any fireworks on around here, but at least the weather's not raining at the moment. So I'm going to stretch myself outside and take a few deep breaths. I'm going to finish drinking my little mixture of orange juice and ginger ale because it's just fun and I feel like it's party mode. I'm looking forward to tomorrow. I will be online. Check out my community post to show you when I'll be playing peekaboo with you this evening and for the rest of the week. We have 2 great, fun, full menus inspired by Fan Rose Fab Rose, and she knows it. We're going to do a green tea inspired infusions 3-course mini menu this Tuesday and live. Next Tuesday after that is going to be a matcha green tea snack night. I can't believe how many options there are for foods, beverages, munchies, and such. So it's going to be a matcha movie night. And other than that, I'll see you again live, peekaboo, Sunday night for Dragonflight. Of course I will do that. We are trying to round up enough gold so that I can pay for a WoW token. But enough about that. Don't want to outdate this video too much. Happy long weekend, everybody. This is Holy Saturday for some of you. Have a wonderful time with your families, friends, your pets, and for me, I'm kind of treating it as a spring cleaning weekend too. So anyways, I hope you find some goodies. I hope you get a chocolate bunny or a chocolate egg, if that's what you like. And if not, you can check out my Riddle Me Din Din playlist. There are so many festive recipes in there to help you out. Have a good time and treat yourself well. You deserve it. This is Venus Callida, and I'll see you next time. Happy Easter, everybody.